Hello, everyone. My name is Brianda Felix. I am one of the Wikipedia experts here at Wiki Education. For those that might not be familiar with Wiki Education, we are a small nonprofit and we run programs that seek to build connections between universities and Wikipedia and other Wikimedia projects in the United States and Canada, essentially serving as that bridge between academia and Wikipedia, right? So, our two main programs, the first, which is kind of like our flagship initiative, is the Wikipedia Student Program, which is a free program where we collaborate and support university instructors and students to edit Wikipedia, right? As part of their coursework in their class. So students receive structured training, online tools, Wikipedia expert support, where they learn how to research, write, and publish high quality cited information for Wikipedia, right? And that's the program that my lovely panelists participated in, all right? Our other program at Wiki Education is the Scholars and Scientists program, where we offer professional training for scholars, scientists, researchers, and other subject matter experts to learn how to contribute their knowledge to Wikipedia and Wikidata, right? So the ultimate goal of both our programs is to make information more accurate, representative, and complete for Wikipedia's global audience, right? So, um, thanks for joining us again. A couple notes before we begin, right? If, throughout our discussion, you have any questions for our panelists, please feel free to add your questions to the Q&A box, not to the chat, right? Because the chat is going to be, you know, there's going to be a lot going on there, so we might miss your questions. But if you add it to the Q&A, we'll definitely be able to see them, all right? So you can find the Q&A box on your Zoom menu bar, and we'll have some time at the end for questions from the audience, all right? Okay, and if you are curious about learning about any of our programs, take a look at the chat where my colleague Colleen is dropping links to those programs, okay? Okay, cool. All right, well, let's get started, for the reason that we're all here. Um, like I said, my name is Brianda, and I am joined today by panelists, student editors that participated in our Wikipedia student program this fall 2025. So I'm going to go around and have them introduce themselves. So if you could tell us your name, your school, and if you could let us know what was your initial reaction when you learned you were going to edit Wikipedia as a class assignment. Okay, so we'll start off with Edith, and then we'll go around. All right.
Hi everyone. Yeah, my name is Edith. I'm from the University of Southern California. I'm a third year. And my initial reaction to Wikipedia being our class assignment was very surprised. It was introduced within our mandatory writing course in our third year. And it was very untraditional to me um, to be writing something that wasn't just for ourselves or for a professor, but something that was actually getting published onto the internet for others to read. But it was very exciting for me to dive into something that gave us the time to explore something that was of interest to us, learn from it, and then in return provide knowledge to the internet. So I was very excited for it.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Edith. We'll go with Diego.
Hey everybody, my name is Diego. I'm at North Carolina State University. I'm in my first year of my master's program. And yeah, when we were introduced to it on the first day, and it sounds simple, but I think it's a good way to describe it. I just thought it was a super cool opportunity. Um, you know, all through my education or any sort of questions you have, you think, okay, let me look it up on Wikipedia. What does it say on Wikipedia? And so it was a cool opportunity and kind of chance to add to Wikipedia. And um, I think it was cool to have sort of like a guidance in it.
Cool. Cool. Thanks, Diego. We'll jump over to Jordan.
Hi everyone, I'm Jordan. I use they them pronouns. I am a senior at UCLA, majoring in gender studies and sociology. I feel like I was mainly a little bit skeptical, honestly, about this assignment because like anytime you're doing like research and if you like quote Wikipedia or like cite Wikipedia, your professors are like, no, you can't do that. And so I wasn't really sure like how like legit all of this is. And so a little bit skeptical, a little bit excited. Excited other people would get to see it too. But I think definitely as we like kept going and like doing the project, it was like, oh wow, like this is really legit. Like you have to go through so much to like put this on the internet. It's not just like random people in their basement adding things to Wikipedia. Like it is very, very, very legit. So yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks, Jordan. And we're gonna talk more. You brought up a lot of good points. We're gonna talk more about those throughout our discussion. But and then we'll jump over to Skylar.
Hi, I'm Skylar Cook. I am a freshman at the University of New Hampshire. And when I first heard we were going to be doing this, I'll admit I was also surprised because it was introduced in my honors bio lab and as an assignment to do alongside our other stuff. And it was just not what I was expecting, but I was really interested in seeing what I could do and how I could make an impact right away. This is my first year, everything like that. And to like edit Wikipedia and make sure to adjust the information, add more, and just like provide more reliable information for other people.
Totally, totally. Cool. Thanks, Skylar. Um, yeah, so Wikipedia, we've all kind of touched on this a little bit already. A lot of people read it, a lot of people use it, right? Um, Wikipedia is a public resource read by thousands, millions, right? Hundreds of different languages. Um, this question is going to be for Jordan. Can you talk a little bit about how contributing to a high visibility public platform impacted your experience as you took on this project? Like, was this any different from other research projects you've done in the past?
Yeah, I feel like first off, it was a little bit scary because I'm like, once you move it to the main space, you're like, oh my God, like it's real, like people can see it. It's just like it's very different when you're still editing it. For most of like any of the research I've done, I just recently did my capstone last quarter, and it's just really sad because I'm like, here you go, professor, and she read it, and then no one else gets to read it, and that's it. Like I'm trying to publish it, but that is like a whole long process to see if other people can like get to see it.
Yeah.
Um, but most of anything I've produced, like one person gets to see it, or maybe my classmates. And so this is really cool because it's not something where it's like, okay, well done, moving on, no one else is going to see it. I really enjoy that, like this is now public and anyone can see it. I keep showing my parents. I'm like, look, my little baby. I'm like, you can Google it. I'm so excited about it. So yeah, it's very cool. I really enjoy that aspect.
Awesome. 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 And it's curious that you brought up your capstone because we've heard from like professors, right? Or there's this one professor who was like, more people are going to read my students' work than all the work I've published in 40 years. Right? And so like, yeah, like this is a pretty big impact that participating in this project has. Um, Diego, I'm curious because I just learned you're a master's student. So like, would you have anything to say about this? The public platform, and just curious since you're continuing your education. Um,
Yes. So it was I switched a little bit direction moving into my master's program. My undergraduate was a political science degree, and then I'm doing a master's in physiology. And it was sort of daunting, I guess, moving into a microbiology class where on the first day they tell us, okay, you're going to write, a Wikipedia article or edit a Wikipedia article related to something in this class. And so knowing that it's a public resource and knowing that anybody can have access to it, it was a little bit kind of nerve wracking to think that I felt a little out of my league, or I felt like I was gonna have to put in a lot of work, which I did, and I think it boosted my confidence in the class and my um, how I retained the information of the class, because while it wasn't I wrote my article on something called the estrobolome, and while it wasn't exactly pertinent to any of the main topics we discussed in class, a lot of the themes and a lot of the main concepts that we used in that microbiology class moved right over into my article.
Cool.
And I was really excited, kind of like Jordan said, that this would be something where I can share with my family, I can share with my friends, and I can just send them a link to a public web page with a semester's work, available for them to just read. And I thought that was really exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. Edith, you're nodding your head along. Is that something you also did?
I agree. It was very, very cool to be able to send something to your friends and family. And they're always very surprised to hear that Wikipedia is your assignment. And they're very intrigued by what you have to write. And usually in the Wikipedia pages, when you're posting something to the internet, you like want to make sure it's super accurate, want to make sure it makes sense and it's accessible. So it's like a great way for me to like digest what I'm reading and then be able to convey that and then share it with my friends and family.
Totally, totally. Very cool. Thank you. Thank you. Um, so this is interesting. Like, I always tell students and instructors, right? Especially when it's like the first time editing Wikipedia, I tell them like, Wikipedia is like its own world, right? Like it takes time to learn like it's, like the language, the norms, basically, it takes time to learn how to successfully contribute to the project, right? And so my question for you all is how like what was the process of learning Wikipedia policy and guidelines? Like, can you describe how you engaged with this? Like, guidelines like about notability, reliable sources, writing in a neutral tone, right? Um, adding inline citations to verify your information, right? Just to give our folks in the audience an idea of the things you guys are kind of learning. Like, what was that experience like learning about these like policies and guidelines? I'll go with Diego first, and then we'll.
Cool. So the first part of the assignment is kind of going through all of the guidelines that Wikipedia has. So you don't start writing anything until you go through all these, modules, or you can kind of, do one and one, do these modules, learn more about it, write a little bit, and then go back and, change things based on what you're learning through these modules. And I think with the help of the learning modules, it was a lot more straightforward because you without doing an assignment like this, you would be very surprised at how strict and how much scrutiny Wikipedia articles go through because you hear all the time, oh, Wikipedia, anybody can edit it, anybody can change it, can just say whatever, which, yes, technically anybody can change it, but there's a very stringent process by which, articles are basically looked over by tons and tons of people. I wanted to note that for me, the hardest part was writing neutrally. I think it's a lot easier to read neutral writing than it is to write it, and making sure that you're portraying the studies and the research that you're putting into the article fairly without any sort of bias, because even sometimes in research you'll find bias in a paper itself. So it was important to try to pull just information out and just display that for a way that anybody can read it.
I would definitely agree with that. Like it was hard to be neutral. I wrote about Casa X, which is a house in Mexico for like elderly sex workers. And I was like, this is like so cool. Like this is like there's not a lot of places like this. And I'm like, this is awesome. Like I love that they're doing this. And it's really hard to then write about it and just be like, I am neutral about this topic. Because I'm like, I'm not. Like I really do like it and support it. And so I agree with Diego. That was definitely a challenge.
Totally, totally. No, and it's just, yeah, what you all said just makes me really happy. Number one, Diego, the part where you said like, can anyone edit it? Technically, yes, but there's all these other things, right, that follow, and there's a community of people that are always paying attention, right, to make sure the information is accurate and stuff like that. So that's fantastic. Everybody spread the word, right? So let us debunk this myth that Wikipedia is like unreliable. Um, yeah, and then working with some like with the topic like you're passionate about, like how can you be neutral, right? So that's thank you so much for your answers. Like it's really really insightful to hear from your perspective.
And I
Um,
just wanted to mention one
yeah,
more thing. It would just to reiterate that point about accuracy on these pages. I think it was within 24 hours a few things had already been started to be changed on my article, and so it was really cool to see that other people were reading my work, and you know somebody else's mind was able to look at it and you say, you know what, maybe this part needs to be changed a little bit, or you know what, this citation should also be here, or just little things like that. I thought it was really cool.
yeah, yeah. Skylar, I see you agreeing with Diego. Do you have anything to add about this or like similar experience you had?
I definitely agree that like I also saw changes very soon afterwards, and it was really cool to see that there's people that would catch things that even I couldn't have caught in the time that I was doing the assignment. And it also like reminded me of another part of learning and doing the assignment in like peer reviews and having other students look at my work to like see things that maybe I didn't quite realize at the time to help me make a really nice, well-rounded article.
Totally. Totally. Cool. Thanks, y'all. So one of the things that I love about this group is that you all like addressed knowledge content gaps like across disciplines, right? We have some humanities folks, some science folks, right? So to kind of give the context to our audience about the work you did, right? Um, Three of you created new articles, right? So there's the new article on Casa Xochiquetzal, which is the home for elderly sex workers, right? We have the Astrobolome, right, Diego? Okay, I said that right? Okay. If some of you don't know, like I don't know what this is, right? It's part of the human gut microbiome. The other new article was Orientalism, right? Which is a cultural theory that critiques a depiction of Asia and Asian cultures as technologized. Um, and one of us edited or improved an existing article, right? I'm gonna butcher this, Skylar, but you can correct me if I say it wrong, right? Skylar improved the article on a little bird from Hawaii called Oahu Elepau. All right, close. And so, right, it's cool. It's awesome to see the different ways that our students contribute, right? Some create new articles, some improve existing articles that just really need like the work, right? And so my question, and this question is for Skylar, we'll start with you first and then we can go around. What was your motivation or like the process for deciding to write about the topic you chose? Like I know you're in a class and obviously there's like parameters around that, right? But like how did you decide on what you were gonna write? Did this change the way you think about like knowledge gaps? Like, like what's missing on Wikipedia, representation of topics, systemic bias in public information, right? We can all like kind of see that in the work that you all did. So, Skylar, if you want to take a yeah.
When I decided to do my topic, my real motivation was like I've always been really interested in birds and especially like the birds on Hawaii and like their extinction and avian malaria and all of that that's going on there. And I settled on the Oahu Elepaio because I wanted to do something that didn't have a lot of information that needed more. So when I came across this article, I was like, whoa, there's this bird that nobody's written about, and I can improve that information and I can create knowledge where there are knowledge gaps and really make an impact. And I think it brought to light to me like the necessity of doing that because you might you might look something up and get a really broad answer. Like I know that the honey creepers on Hawaii are really impacted by avian malaria, but the Oahu Elepaio is actually not as affected, and that could be an interesting thing that people would want to know when they're researching that. And I just think it's really an important thing to give representation to these small groups of that aren't represented because they need that information too. And to talk about the bias in public information is a little hard for me because my article was so small, but I also think that like bias can be in like cultures and countries like on specific things. Like I did notice that most of the Hawaiian birds that had already had articles that had so much were these honey creepers, and I was able to do a bird that most people didn't think about because although it does struggle, it's not like the main threatened one on that island.
Oh, well, thank you so much for sharing about that. I didn't know about these birds and their context in that ecosystem in Hawaii. Um, cool. Anybody else like to add about this?
Yeah, I can jump in.
What? And then we'll go
Um,
to Edith after.
cool.
Yeah.
So as far as finding my topic, we were asked by a professor to choose three and kind of describe what we wanted to talk about, whether we were adding to Wikipedia to an existing article or creating a new one. And honestly, I don't remember the other two because I spent a lot of time on this one, but I actually came up in a brainstorming session with my mom, who's here. Hello. And she works as a doctor, but she's a scientist at heart. And so she came up with this idea and had been reading about it. And one thing that sticks out to me is that particularly in all parts of Wikipedia, but in, science is always changing. We're always asking new questions. We're always finding new ideas and new, things that are happening. And the estrobolum is a relatively new concept that still needs a lot of research. And I was surprised to find, with the amount of research I did see, that there wasn't an English Wikipedia article. There was a version in Catalan, but I actually don't know why it doesn't transfer over to the English one. Maybe it's a different, host or something. But there wasn't an English version, and I was surprised to see that. And I searched and I searched and I searched just to make sure I didn't miss anything. And so it was just a reminder that, with the world always changing and evolving, there's always space for new ideas and new topics to be discussed.
Totally. Thanks, Diego.
Yeah, kind of similar to Skylar and Diego. I think I chose the topic of techno-orientalism out of passion. I'm a filmmaker with a really deep love for Asian cinema and science fiction, so I've always been super curious to explore this kind of overlap of Asian aesthetics into this narrative genre. And yeah, similarly, I was really surprised to find that this theory didn't have a page of its own, and instead was a brief mention nested within the cyberpunk page. I think like in a lot of like these niche spaces that we're in, such as like the bird community or within like health and science, that there are these things that we might know but might not be public knowledge or are like smaller within the knowledge of like certain communities. So when that like knowledge gaps are just often pieces of information that haven't become yet visible. So when we're like able to take it out of the invisible and like share it with the public, I think that's like a really special thing.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think so. The reason I picked mine is that in a prior class in gender studies, we had read about CASA X, and it was like it was part of a book, and there was like a full chapter on it. And I was like, okay, this has got to have like a Wikipedia page because like I just read like a full like 40-page chapter on this, and I was really surprised to see that it wasn't. And so I think like it's like UCLA, like we subscribe to so many different databases and they pay for it. And so like that's how we can access it. And like I'm about to graduate and I'm going to lose all access to that, which is so sad. And so like it's really cool with Wikipedia getting to put it out there and other people can see it. So yeah.
That is so fantastic. Thank you so much. Like all your answers just really, remind us, or at least myself, right? This is why we do what we do. This is why we do the Wiki project, right? So kind of, you all already kind of started answering this question, but what what part of the editing process felt most rewarding once you completed the project? We'll go with Edith, because and you kind of already touched on this, but maybe you could elaborate a bit more.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the most rewarding things to me was once I finished the page on techno-orientalism, was seeing other editors adding to it or editing it. Like even if it was a small grammar tweak or like someone bringing in a photo, it just feels so special to like get the conversation going. Um, Especially with a page that previously didn't exist, you kind of get to create a space on the internet. Yeah, that's really exciting.
Anyone else? What felt most rewarding?
For me, it was actually just seeing my page in full from a reader's view. Um, Part of the process was learning how to cite inside of Wikipedia and how to, write in your citations and make sure that it's almost like coding in a way. It's very interesting. And honestly, one of the coolest things for me is just seeing the little text bubbles for where I put my citations and, switching between the editor and the reader to see that it went in the right way. I just was so happy that I finally got it right. Um, and just seeing it come up when I Google the Escher poem is cool.
We have people saying yes, yes. Skylar, I saw yourself unmute. You want to say anything?
I was gonna add to saying that, like, just like both Diego and Edith, I really like when I saw that whole article at the end, I was like, look at how much information I was able to fit into this that wasn't there before, and the impact I'm making by having so many people be able to read information that they might not have been able to find otherwise, or that in a quick search, they might have even gotten misinformation.
Yeah, totally. Skylar, did you do like a before and after? Like this is what it looked like when I started, and this is what it looks like now?
I think I might have. We did a presentation at the end of my class, and one of the things was like, what did you do to your article to make it like what's the difference between what you started with and what you ended with? And mine was just like a little topic about what it was, and then like a few like two-sentence paragraphs that didn't really cover a whole lot, and I added so much to it, and it was just so cool to see that.
That's awesome.
I think my favorite thing for me is like you can go into like once you see like who's been editing things, you can go to page views and you can see how many people have been viewing it. And so like once it's published, like that's really cool to look at, but then also seeing like, wait, like other people were looking at it too. I really enjoy that.
Yeah. Right now it's out there in the world for people to engage with it, for people to read it. Yeah, there's a satisfying feeling at the end. Oh, well, thank you so much for answering that. I have one last question before we jump to Q&A, all right? There's some good questions in the Q&A. So, as a reminder, if you have any questions for our panelists, please add your questions to the Q&A box, and we'll have a chance to answer them soon, all right? All right, so this question is for everyone. So after working through this project, did you come away with any new perspectives about Wikipedia or any new skills that you can take with you into your future studies or careers? Y'all are really good because you've been kind of ahead of these. So we'll start with Edith and then we'll go around. All right.
Yeah, I think this project reminded me how exciting it is to deep dive into internet rabbit holes and like follow your curiosities wherever you go. It's so cool to hear about like birds and about all of these different kinds of topics that I previously had no idea about. So yeah, I think it's really inspiring.
I think the main thing that I came away with is like we said, like, yeah, anyone can edit it, but like it is so legit. Like if you're just like having fun and you want to put something random on there, like someone will hunt you down and kick it off and be like, no, this is not real. That was the main thing. And then also just like more confidence now that like, as I go through my life, if I find some information and I'm like, this is not, on the internet or whatever, this isn't on Wikipedia, like I now have the skills to be like, ooh, okay, like I could add to this. And so that's really exciting.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like we've been kind of saying the whole time is if something's wrong or if anybody can technically change it, it will get fixed. And there's so many people kind of scouting out um, all over Wikipedia. And I wanted to say that I thought this assignment helped me learn more about how to use AI responsibly, particularly when it came to finding resources, because it's easy to, read the top 10 results when you search about any sort of research that's in a topic, but it's sometimes difficult to find things on something that doesn't have a lot of research or a lot of prior knowledge about on the internet. And so being able to use different resources from Google Scholar to AI to all these different things to find proper, you know, healthy resources for my information was really useful.
To add to all of that, what I took away from this really was like an appreciation for the volunteers and the people that actually edit Wikipedia and go through all of this, because like all this work is really important, and to see like so many people have edited Wikipedia before us and we never really even think about it and how much work they put in and how much of an impact they always make. And I think that's just a really important thing that I want to take with me so that in my future I can always look to make an impact as well.
Totally, totally. Shout out to the wiki editing community from Skylar and from all of us that we are a part of now, right? Uh, so definitely, definitely. Um, thanks. So we're gonna pivot now um, to the audience's questions or questions from the audience. Um, so let us see. We have one from Alyssa. It says, this one's pretty cool. Did editing Wikipedia have any impact on your sense of agency or your identity as a knowledge creator? Uh, I don't know. Is anyone feeling up to answer that one?
I
Can you
think
say just one more time? Oh, sorry.
Ooh, ooh. Okay. Yeah, yeah, I'll see it. Did editing Wikipedia have any impact on your sense of agency or your identity as a knowledge creator? Skylar seemed, Diego, I'll let you simmer on that for a little bit. Skylar, you
yeah.
have something to say?
I think that like it showed me what I could do and what I could accomplish, because I've been for a lot of the time a really shy person, and this showed me that like wow, I can actually get out there, I can do something, and I can use my knowledge to supplement other people's, and it really made me want to like get out there, and as I continue my education, like just really do anything I can to yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Skylar. Yeah. Uh, I don't want to call out, but I'm going to call out our filmmaker or Jordan. Oh, Jordan, I'm muted. Take it away, Jordan.
Yep, I did. Um, it's interesting, like the term knowledge creator, because I don't know, I don't feel like I was necessarily creating knowledge, but rather taking knowledge that was like already there and like making it more public. And like that's kind of where the sense of agency came in, like Skylar was talking about, of like, I can actually like do something, which was really cool. But I don't necessarily feel like I was creating like new knowledge, because like that is not our role at all. Like we don't get to like, put our opinions in and be like, oh, this is like some study that I did. Like you don't get to add that to it. Just kind of a side note on that.
Yeah, yeah, Awesome. Okay, I am gonna call out our filmmaker. Edith. So, because I'm just curious, right? You're gonna go into, or you are right into like storytelling, narratives, and stuff like that. So this is interesting, right? Like, did it have any impact on your sense of agency, or as a knowledge creator or not creator,
Yeah,
summarizer?
I think so. I feel like before this, I didn't have much experience with research and digesting that kind of types of writing. So it did kind of similar to Skylar. It was very eye-opening to see like um, how reading these kinds of texts and finding ways to cite them and getting my own perspectives as them, even though we're not supposed to input bias or our opinions into these texts, we're thinking through them as we're reading them and we're digesting and picking apart these different types of resources and information as we input them into Wikipedia. So I think it really made me consider my own role as a Wikipedia author and also like as a creator of like how can I take these interesting things I've learned and convey them in a clear and direct way for other people to learn as well. So just made me really excited to like pass on more knowledge to other people.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for answering that. Um, so there's this other question we have that is interesting. I'm curious what your thoughts are about this. So, you know, as an author editing Wikipedia, right, we're creating this, we're adding to this public resource, right? When we put our work out there, it doesn't belong to us anymore, it belongs to Wikipedia, right? Um, so as an author, did it matter to you that your name like wasn't published like with the author, like you would a traditional like academic paper or something like that? Um, like what does it feel like to create something, right, that you kind of, give to the greater good, so to say? I'm curious. Yeah.
I think it's definitely something to grapple with. I think when you start writing for Wikipedia, it's sort of an unwritten contract that you know ahead of time that this is for public use and that it's not, especially when we're going through it, whenever we're, going to use any pictures or any information, it's all cited, it's all public domain. And so you're adding to the public domain. And I think um, the way we were taught about it through the modules made that very clear. And while it would be nice, to, I guess, have our name published with it, over time it's going to be changed and edited. And we don't know right now if everything is perfect in there, if everything, if anything needs to be changed. And I think for what Wikipedia is trying to do, contributing anonymously or as you are able to is fair and healthy.
Thanks, Sierra. I'm curious to hear about you, Jordan, because or Edith unmuted, and then we'll go to Jordan. Okay.
Yeah, just kind of to piggyback off of what Diego was saying, I personally really enjoyed the anonymity part of it because I thought um, the idea of just contributing to the greater good of Wikipedia and not holding any ownership to it was really fun for me. And really doing it kind of for the love of the game, getting to explore this topic and then publishing it and just being like, here you go, world. I personally really enjoyed that. Yeah. What about yourself, Jordan?
Sorry, gotta hit that unmute button. I think kind of like I said before, I'm like where it's not, it's not specifically my knowledge. Like I don't have a right to it. Like, yeah, I wrote it down and like good for me, but like I don't know, like it's it's different from a research project where you're doing your own research and all that. Like I do see the similarities. But yeah, I agree with Edith where it's like, you're doing it for the greater good, you're doing it to help other people and like I guess if you have a really big ego and you want your name attached to it, then you're not going to enjoy this. But other than that, like it feels good to do that and just do it to be like, I'm doing this to help other people, not for my own personal success.
Cool. Skylar, anything to add to that?
Nothing specifically, but I do want to add that I do agree that it's for just the love of it, getting the information out there, being a good help, and just making that impact where you can. And it's something you sign up for, and it's different. Like adding on to what Jordan said, you know.
Yeah, totally, totally. Diego, what's up?
Yeah. I also wanted to add that you wouldn't necessarily, or how can I put it? When you're adding to or creating a Wikipedia article, you're pulling together information from other authors. This is an amalgamation of things that other people have already written. So, in a way, I think it's almost fair or expected that you wouldn't put your name on it because you're kind of either adding something that was missing that is new in research and or creating a new page that has limited research but there's enough to have an article on it. So it's not that you know if you want your name on something you can go do research and you can go you know publish something, which is a very different process. But as far as contributing to public knowledge, this is a way to make current the current status of subject A available to more people through Wikipedia.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It's like we are pulling from so many other authors, and like when you look at like the references, like obviously like you can see like, oh, these are the authors that we're pulling from, but also like looking at who edited it, like you can see that like, your like name or whatever name you put, like you do kind of have a record that like you did it. Like if someone was like, no, you didn't, well, you could be like, here's my account and here's where it says I edited all this stuff. So you do kind of, it's in there. You just got to look for it a little bit. It's not like at the top that it says this is mine. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like we're the middlemen bringing the knowledge to the people that are not usually going to see that information.
Awesome, awesome. Um, this is cool. I like to call, well, this is just my saying, right? Like information ninjas, because we're going like behind paywalls and like bringing the information to the public. But that's just me. This is awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your insights, y'all. This is great. Um, there is a question, I think maybe perhaps from students that are joining us. This is a little bit more practical, hands-on questions. Um, you know, I guess we have one question that says, um, what kind of resources did your professors provide beforehand to help you prepare your article? Did you have any like prep assignments before you were sent off on your own to complete this project? I guess kind of like what was the like that process like for you? Because we do have like the dashboard, right, which has like the trainings and the exercises and stuff like that. But anything else you would like to add about the actual process that like project that you went through? No?
So mine was for a global feminism course, and I don't know exactly what they're called, but I know Wikipedia has like, oh, like here's a bunch of like topics about like minorities and stuff where like, it's got a couple sentences and stuff that you can like add to or looking for like certain articles that are rated like a certain, I don't remember the rating, but like you're
Sounds
like rated a certain way.
good.
That was one way, but I think there's definitely lists out there that I'm sure Brianda can talk more about that are like, here's knowledge gaps that you can add to. So you don't just have to be like, well, like it's really hard to find it if you don't have that, if you're just like looking up random stuff. So that was really helpful.
Cool.
Yeah, adding on to that, I remember our professor introducing to us that each article had its own rating of how much information was on that page, which ones needed more information to be added to. So there's always that list of articles you can see that are missing information and like require more research to go further into. But yeah.
Cool. So we have one question over here, kind of about, we have a question from someone that says, this is a great conversation, and they say it's not knowledge creation, but not knowledge facilitation. How do you all feel about being knowledge facilitators? This is interesting. Different term. But we kind of already answered that. Any other things that might have come to mind between that question before? No worries. Oh, all right. So I have one that's interesting because you already went through all the ropes, right? You learned the ways of Wikipedia. You created some really fascinating, right, articles. Um, do you intend to keep editing Wikipedia? Since you kind of already went through the through that journey, why or why not? Just curious. And we'll start with Skylar and we'll go around.
I think I would definitely like to do it in the future. I think I have a lot of education ahead of me and I'm going to be really busy. But I think that in between all of that, if I can find the time to be a volunteer and help out and provide this, as we talked about, knowledge facilitation, I think that would be a really interesting and powerful thing that I can do.
Cool.
Yeah, similar to Skylar, I think maybe something I want to try to do is like as I'm going through my coursework, picking up things I'm learning in my education, seeing if there are knowledge gaps there on those Wikipedia pages, and like seeing how those compare to um, the the things that resources I'm given in class. I think Jordan brought up a really good point earlier, which is that now we're in university education, we have access to all these resources and databases that we won't have when we graduate. So it's such a like good and unique tool to have and to optimally use at this time in our lives. And hopefully I can contribute more to Wikipedia now.
Awesome. Thanks, Edith.
Yeah, I think kind of like Skylar said, I'd like to, I definitely will keep tabs on mine. I worked on it for a long time, so I'm a little biased, but definitely keep tabs on mine. And, ideally, as information comes out and I can read more about it, continue to contribute to it. And, obviously, when I find time and even set aside time to look at Wikipedia, there's going to be plenty more topics that I go through in the rest of my education that, maybe I'll look on Wikipedia and see what it says about whatever topic it is I'm looking at, and maybe I can find some good resources. Maybe it's missing some resources and I know how to add it. I know how to contribute to it. So I think having taken the time to learn the process and um, having it done in an academic setting kind of sets me up to be able to contribute efficiently.
Cool. Thanks,
Yeah,
Eva.
I pretty much agree with what everyone said. I'm planning to go on and get a master's, and so like I'm still going to be in the world of education, and so I think, if at any point like stuff comes up that I want to add and there's room for it, then that's something I'll definitely consider and look into.
Cool. Cool, cool. All right. So let's see. These are wrapping up questions. So final question, or one of second to last question for us. What is the biggest advice to other students that you would give to other students working on this assignment? Because I know there's some in that are watching us right now that are in the middle, right? That are you all like in October, November. So what is the biggest advice you would give to other students working on this project? We'll go with Diego first.
My biggest piece of advice would be do not procrastinate. If you want to do a good job and you really want to, you know, if it's something you want to stick and you want to see it flourish and continue to change, you do not want to procrastinate and wait till the last minute to do it, because your work will be a lot more, fleshed out. You'll be a lot more familiar with the topic you're writing about. And that's whether you're adding to or creating a new article. It's worth taking your time, and it's worth doing it the right way.
Thanks, you.
I would say on a different note, my main piece of advice, like kind of just like don't be too intimidated by it. Like I know it seems like really scary. Like I remember them talking about like plagiarism and like once you move it to the main or not even in the sandbox, like if you just like copy paste something from another website, like that can get you in trouble. But overall, like you've got so many people that you can like reach out to for support. And like, I feel like even your teachers understand that like this is something new and that you'll probably have a lot of questions about it. The amount of times I emailed my professor being like, I have this question, like more than I have ever emailed a teacher before. But there's just a lot of resources to help you and people that are going to be by your side. And like, it's such a fun thing. So don't be too intimidated by it.
I agree with you, Jordan. Use your resources, go to office hours, ask questions, and also um, take your time and don't be too intimidated because it looks like it's a lot of work and it is. But if you just take your time and go through it one step at a time, you're going to create something you're really proud of.
Yeah, I would say also go through the course modules. They're they're super duper helpful. They're very in depth and they give you such a great idea of what you can and shouldn't put onto Wikipedia pages. And they're not too long. They're like very direct too. So such a great helpful resource.
Added on to that in the modules when it tells you like, okay, now open Wikipedia and you're gonna like try this thing in your sandbox and you're like tired and you're like, well, I just read about it. No, do it. Open your sandbox, do it. Cause just reading about it is so different than like actually doing it. Like you gotta try and click all the buttons and make sure like you know how to do it. So that way, like Diego was saying, like you're not procrastinating on this. You're not trying to figure out like, oh dang, how does Wikipedia work? Like the night that it's due while also trying to like input all the knowledge. So definitely agree with what everyone said.
This is fantastic. Literally music to my ears. And I want everyone to know that's watching us right now, we did not coach them on these answers. This all came from them, all right? You're hearing it directly from the students themselves who went through this project. So this is fantastic. I agree with every one of you. It's so great to hear. Thank you so much. All right. Before we leave, would you recommend this to other professors for them to use the wiki assignment in their courses? What do we feel?
I think it would be shocking if any of us were like, no, don't do this. Like you've heard this conversation if you've been here, like obviously like there's little challenges here and there, but like none of us have been like hating on this. Like, we enjoyed doing this. Like, we're not paid to be here and talk about this. Like, yes, do it. It's very fun. It's very unique. And it's very different from like a lot of what you do in higher ed. And that just like makes it fun. You like, you're not like, ugh, like another paper. Like, I'm so bored of this. So definitely, yeah, do it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's super unique. Walking into class and hearing that you're going to write a Wikipedia article or edit a Wikipedia article is so different from anything else I've ever done in my academics. And immediately I was just really excited to get started and, you know, contribute the best way I could. And I definitely, I'd recommend it. I think it's super fun. I think it gives the student a lot of creative liberty and allows us to go more into depth on something we're interested about. And I think that's very, a lot of times that can be a pretty unique thing in education instead of following the cookie cutter.
Yeah, agreed. I think when our professor introduced this, shout out to Dr. Kashishan, we were she mentioned that this would be something that has been a fan favorite for all of her past classes. And it definitely proved to be that as we were going through it. Everyone had such different ideas and topics. I learned so much through doing it myself as much as I did from other students and getting to hear about their topics. So it's just such a great experience overall.
I agree with all of that. As we've talked about, we love doing this assignment and spreading this information and building these articles. And I would definitely recommend it. And the skills that it builds and the confidence it builds in students, I think it's really important and really different and a great thing to add to any course.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, y'all. It has been such a pleasure to hear from you all. So I want to thank you to the audience, everyone that joined us. Thank you to our panelists for such an insightful conversation. You all were fantastic, and I am so excited that I got to work with you all and that, we're gonna keep working on this with more students, right? So Colleen is going to drop some links in the chat for our next speaker series. If you want to join us, it's going to be in March. If you're a post-secondary instructor and you feel inspired to teach with Wikipedia, right? Visit teach.wikiedu.org. Link is in the chat. And if you're interested in learning how to contribute your expertise to Wikipedia, visit learn.wikiedu.org to explore our upcoming courses. So again, thank you all for coming. This has been fantastic. Great questions from the audience, great answers from our panelists. Y'all are fantastic. And yeah, have a good rest of your day, y'all. Thank you so much.